Did TCL just reveal the next Xbox? We'll take a look at some of the best controllers out in the market right now, and we have to celebrate the return of the king of games.
Sonic 06. Yeah, let's talk about that first, because you were really abnormally, I would say, excited about this news.
Yeah, okay, so basically, Sonic 06, it released in the Xbox 360 generation. If you've never seen or heard of this game, I would recommend just like watching a YouTube playthrough of it because it feels like a fever dream. But it's been off of the Microsoft Xbox Store for 12 years. But just the other day, it has reappeared for download on the Microsoft Store on Xbox consoles.
I'm like well aware of this game, not because I played it. The only time I've ever played this game was in GameStop before it came out. They had a demo of it, and I was like, this is really bad. And I was not necessarily like a Sonic fan, but I liked the idea of Sonic. Like, that game had no reason not to win me over. And I was like, well, that's not on the list. And I never thought about it again for like decades. And then my buddy Mr. Maddie Plays has a second channel called Retro Rebound, and he unironically loves this game and has re-reviewed it a couple times. And I guess there's a fan remake.
People are being unfair to Sonic 06.
And just as a reminder, if you want any new Xbox gear or accessories, I have a bunch of links down in the description. Headphones, controllers, TVs, consoles. If you buy anything using the links down in the description, I get a small percentage of that so I can continue to talk about video games with you guys.
But now we gotta move on to the real news. The real news. It's not nearly as funny as Sonic 06 becoming playable on your Xbox consoles again. There's been stories going around about how Jay Ong, the leader of Marvel Games, approached Microsoft, Sony, and Activision to talk about making Marvel games, and Microsoft infamously turned them down, and that's when Sony stepped in and said, hey, we'll make a Spider-Man game, and the rest is history.
This is like literally the hold my beer.
That stung a little bit. They were making questionable decisions left and right back in 2014. I feel like Sony did a great job with the game Insomniac, did a great job with those games. I really like those games. I was like, whatever.
That game's awesome.
Along that same vein, apparently Microsoft turned down the opportunity for the KOTOR timed exclusive remake, Knights of the Old Republic.
Whoever made that call needs some sort of punishment or reprimand or something. The original KOTOR was an Xbox exclusive.
It was...
Like, you already had it. What reality are you living in where someone comes to you from Lucas Games and is like, we are remaking one of the most beloved Star Wars RPGs of all time, and we are making these fan favorite characters canon once again. We want to give you, Ray Trevino, the leader of Xbox game development, the opportunity to do this. And you go, nah, we're going to focus on Perfect Dark.
Well, all these details, they're a little bit muddy, but they're coming from
my buddy, Mr. Maddie Plays, once again.
And he kind of details a similar reason to what Microsoft's line of thinking was for the Marvel stuff, in that they wanted to focus on their own IPs. The rights to making Star Wars games belongs to Lucas Media, Disney, whatever, whoever. It's all complicated, but I feel like that was as close to an Xbox IP as you can really get. I mean, so many people have cherished memories of playing on the OG Xbox, Knights of the Old Republic. And some people to this day are like, that was like the best gaming experience.
It's so good. It was like one of my first RPGs. It's super accessible. But thankfully, it seems like they've learned their lesson on this front after watching Sony make the Spider-Man PS4 game and sell. It's like one of their best-selling games. And Spider-Man Miles Morales is #1 on the PS5 NPD charts, like month after month after month. Like, these things sell. So Microsoft was like, man, we got to figure this out. So they make an exclusive Indiana Jones game with Machine Games.
Dealing with these characters that are under, different companies' stable, I imagine that's a nightmare. I mean, I talked a little bit about this in another past video with the Spider-Man stuff. The movie Spider-Man stuff is a mess with Sony owning the rights, but he's appearing in the MCU. There was a period where people were like, oh, Tom Holland's not going to finish his trilogy because Sony wants the rights back and they're doing their own thing. And so I imagine with Star Wars, they're under the same kind of thing, Disney umbrella. And Aspyr Media, Aspyr, is kind of has the rights to the game, and they're a third-party entity as well.
Aspyr, I guess, Aspyr, just I'm sure you'll tell us in the comments. Yeah, whatever they're called. they cut their teeth working on remakes of Star Wars games, like KOTOR.
Yeah, like porting them over, right?
Yeah,
to
and like cleaning them up.
Commando, the Commando game.
So I'm sure they had a lot of the people working at their studio play through these games to make sure they were running well. I'm sure that was like a development practice for them, being like, okay, here's what works about these games, here's what doesn't. Will at least influence in some way our KOTOR remake. I don't know. I feel like they're as good as anyone in making this. And I've also heard that it's going to have action combat, which makes me so happy. I'm fine with the BioWare style combat where you can like stop the battle, kind of pick your next move and all that. It's just not engaging to me. I'm just broken. I can't play turn-based stuff. It's just not fun. So hearing that they're going to go for action style combat, I'm like, oh man, this is just like what I've always wanted. You're making Revin canon again.
The ideal situation would be for Xbox to develop that in-house with one of their studios, but obviously that option was off the table because, like you said, Embracer Group is involved, Aspire Studios is involved, and it's like the licensing is crazy. Yes, I understand some of the reasoning behind it, but still, it stings having played the OG KOTOR games way back in the day.
I mean, hey, maybe they could be working on like an original Star Wars game right now. Well, actually, the big rumor is
they're working on a Mandalorian.
Yeah, the Mandalorian MMO over at ZeniMax Online Studios. So they have something going on. And of course, like I already mentioned, they have Indiana Jones. So I don't think it's all doom and gloom.
Yeah, they're not hurting real. I think they will be fine. There's been some leadership
changes.
So next up, let's talk about controllers, guys. We all love our Xbox controllers, of course. I really feel as though, to me, the Xbox gamepad is the most comfortable in my hands. Ergonomically, it feels really awesome. And maybe I'm just used to it. I don't know, but that's just how I feel. The Verge recently just put out this list. We're going to go through them right now and see if we agree, disagree, kind of discuss it a little bit. Number one is just straight up the Xbox wireless controller.
The Series X controller. It's the classic. It's the tried and true, the bundled controller, the one that they keep re-releasing with all these cool special editions like the Forza one, the 20th anniversary one. It gets the job done and it feels good in the hand.
Elite.
It's my favorite controller to use.
And oh my gosh, look what I have right here.
Wow, it's the Forza Horizon 5 edition of the controller. The coolest feature on this controller, besides the fact that the top is see-through, is the fact that the grips are steering wheel leather. The controller itself, a little expensive at $70, but right now and basically all the time they go on sale for $50. That's pretty good. And you can use it on PC, you can use it on Xbox. I think it's backwards compatible with the Xbox One X and S2.
Yeah, all of the controllers from last generation to this generation you can use. So you can use an Xbox One controller on your Series S or X. You can use controllers on the Xbox One. Next up, we have
the Power A enhanced wired controller.
Yeah,
and the one they
budget.
picked, it's a Tiny Tina's Wonderlands edition controller. It looks pretty cool. It's purple, black, and pink, and neon blue. I like it a lot. $37 obviously is because it's wired.
A steal, yeah, and it is wired, which, you know, for not everyone, that's not going to be ideal. For me, it'd be perfect because I game at my desk, I have a monitor, and I'm very close to my console. I'm not, 50 feet away.
And if you're playing on PC, I think wired would be just fine. You can kind of snake it through and up and around your desk, so it's not like just a fat wire sitting around. Yeah, and Power A, going with their budget theming, they have another controller called the Power A Fusion Pro 2, which is their riff on the Elite series controller. People really like this controller as well, I've seen online. From this little Verge blurb here, it says it has swappable sticks, which that's kind of cool. That's like what you have in the Elite series controller. You've got mappable rear pedals. That's another feature that's just crossing over. Friction rings, which I assume is for the thumbsticks to make them a little bit tighter. And a zip-up case. And the zip-up case is black and orange, which makes it Halloween themed by default, which makes me like it quite a bit. So yeah, might have to give one of these controllers a try. They look pretty cool. And maybe controversially, they have it listed above the Elite Series 2.
Yeah, that is what I was going to say. They don't get to the Elite Series 2 until midway through the list. And I feel like they have it listed as the best premium controller for Xbox. But as we were just talking about in another video, I feel like a lot of people, we're kind of split on whether or not the Elite Series 2 is worth it in the long run, especially for the money that you pay for it.
I saw a review on YouTube. I'm sorry, I can't remember who it was, but the guy was like, I have tested 4 or 5 of these at this point, and it has like a set number of hours that you'll get out of it. And I thought I was going to say like 2,500 hours or something crazy like that, but it was an astronomically low number, like 300 or 400 hours. And I was like, That's not that much, really, for how much the controller costs. And they do say that's why it's ranked lower. They say, you also must be aware that the Elite has a reputation for lackluster quality control, with horror stories from users about going through multiple replacements under warranty. Microsoft had to extend the controller's warranty from 90 days to a year, which, let's be real, it should have been a year out of the gate. The Verge is like, this might feel a little risky, but if you get a good one, you get a good one. I don't know. I'm not rolling the dice.
I can't recommend this in full confidence
Yeah.
with these quality control issues.
that-
But on this next controller that they have on the list, the Scuff Instinct Pro. Now, a couple months ago, this got an official endorsement from Devin Booker, who is a perennial NBA All-Star that plays for the Phoenix Suns. The team that suddenly everyone loves to hate. They just got absolutely smashed out of the well, not just a couple weeks ago, they got smashed out of the playoffs by the Dallas Mavericks in game 7 by like 40 points. But we don't have to talk about that because in addition to being a basketball player, he actually plays a lot of Call of Duty and is really good. He came out and had like his own version of the Scuff controller.
Is that the one in the picture? Because this one in the picture is awesome. It's like a swirly, like tie-dye controller, black and orange with a little bit of blue in there. I'm also noticing that the guy in the picture is wearing 2 watches, which really disturbs me.
Yeah, that's what you take out of this.
Yeah,
maybe it's two different people's hands, like someone's right hand and someone's left. The thing about this is that it's more expensive than the Elite Series 2, but this one you can replace the face plates out of. You can take it off and kind of swap those out, and they have a little bit more options when it comes to the bumper and trigger sensitivity. They have like a hair trigger option and a long pull. That's really cool as well. Yeah, and instead of the magnetic paddles on the back that you see on the Elite Series 2, it's more of like...
They're called rocker buttons. Yeah. They're like how they are on the Steam Deck, honestly. Yeah, and I hope that the trigger locking... Okay, we gotta complain really quick. The trigger locking in the Elite controller, going back to that, I hope it's better in this one because the trigger lock in the Elite Series 2, it just locks the trigger instead of actually telling the Xbox or like the game you're playing that the pull is shorter. So if you're playing Destiny 2 and you want to boost on your Sparrow, you use one of the triggers, and if you have the trigger locked, it doesn't pull enough to actually do that. It's just like a physical lock instead of like making it so that the controller knows
actually
you pulled
responds.
the trigger all the way. Very weird. So I would assume that the Scuff is a little bit more premium in that sense. Honestly, Scuff, we would love to try out this controller. We would also love to try out the new DualSense version of it. Please hit us up. We've emailed you a few times. Please hit us back.
This one I have zero experience with.
Yeah, this one looks like it was made by Nerf, but somehow costs $100. So if you're going for the PR every game in Warzone, I feel like this is the controller for you. This next controller, all right, and I have confirmed, this is a guy wearing 2 watches because he's unfortunately holding this controller as well. This is the Turtle Beach Recon.
I don't know about Turtle Beach's stuff.
They were cool, right? When they had that Call of Duty sponsorship. I feel like that was the heyday of Turtle Beach, like around Modern Warfare.
And, you know, walking around Walmart and they have those Turtle Beach demos. You know, you put them on and you press the button and it's like, experience the sound of Turtle Beach 700X triple double A.
I'd say this controller is for someone who's built different.
Built different.
Yeah.
How much is it?
$50. There are better options on this list that are only $10 more. Like
Yeah, I
I'd
guess
say
it's not so bad.
What's your standout controller? Like out of all the ones we just talked about, what's the one you're picking?
Either the Power A
Okay.
or the Scuff controller.
I'm really curious about this wired one for sure. The Power A wired one. This Tiny Teen one's pretty cool. I've never actually held one of these. My pick is definitely that Scuff controller based entirely on aesthetic. It looks really cool. I'm getting kind of frustrated with my Elite Series 2. I've gone through 2 of them, and the second one is already having the same problems that I had to replace the first time. Like the magnets get weaker on the sticks, which is great when you're playing a first-person shooter and you fling the right stick across the room. Love that. It's a great feature of the controller. Power A, I think Ray would love to play with some of your controllers. Don't know what you make for PlayStation, but maybe we could try some of that out too. I really would love to try some of these Scuff materials. They look really cool.
100%. All right, last story. Did you ever think that the next generation of these consoles, the Series X, the Series S, the PS5, they would come via TCL, the TV company?
If any brand was going to do it, it's TCL, because they're literally the brand that's sitting there like, do it, go. But yeah, they just had a press conference where they basically leaked a new AMD chip and the Xbox follow-up to the Series X and the PS5 Pro.
So Tom Henderson tweets this out. I think he meant news conference. In a news conference today, TCL Technology have said that a new Xbox Series S, X, and PS5 Pro are coming in 2023, 2024. You say this Tom Henderson character, he's pretty legit.
He weirdly is an Xbox leaker who comes up a lot on the PlayStation side of the news. But yeah, he's a pretty trustworthy source. And we have a picture of the event. I think we'll probably see this thing at least announced in 2024.
We haven't really seen any game take full advantage and feel next gen to these consoles. So it seems a little bit like overkill to say, hey, we got this new Xbox Series X that can run games at 8K any day of the week reliably, when we haven't even seen a game that like would really take advantage.
The only game that feels next gen that out of all the games I've played is Returnal. And it's only because of how fast you reload after you die. DualSense features, instant reload. That's the two most next gen feeling things. I don't think there's going to be a generation again where we don't get a mid-cycle refresh. I think that because it was so successful last generation with the Xbox One X and the PS4 Pro, there's no reason not to do it at this point. They just got to get the timing right so they don't piss off their entire fan base who's been supporting them with a console that can supposedly play next-gen games but hasn't gotten any.
These screenshots, there's some things that are questionable about them, but are we thinking, the timing is right for this?
2023 seems early.
2023 seems early. You think at 24?
My wallet can't take it, man. I can't drop another $500 on two consoles.
It's going to be interesting to see how they handle this refresh whenever it may come.